Okay, welcome back. So, you have now identified how your past has impacted you in just some pretty general ways, right? We haven't spent a ton of time on it, but we're starting to see why it is that we would want to go through this process, look at it, and use it to build something better. And so, welcome. I want to just ask you, how are you coming into this video? So, we've started to talk about some things that might be a little bit difficult. How are you coming into this? How are you feeling right now? What do you notice happening in your body? Do you notice a lot? Do you notice a little? Do you have big feelings? Is it kind of feeling numb? Just be really aware of that. And I want to just kind of lay down some ground rules here, which are that I want to help you, but sometimes helping ourselves means taking it easy if we're not in a space to do something. So there is no medal for reading the book as quickly as possible or for forcing yourself to look at trauma or things like that. In fact, I wouldn't even advise it. So if you've got significant stuff coming up just at the thought or discussion of some of these things, the best bet is to talk to a medical professional about how you can actually work through that because your story deserves the attention and it deserves to be honored for the importance that it has in your life. And so if you're coming into this moment right now and you're saying, Jason, I'm overwhelmed, I think I'm going to have a panic attack, we are probably in a place where the best thing we can do is set ourselves up for success by talking to a professional about how we might do some of this work. If you're coming into this and you're saying, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, I think I've got some stuff I want to look at, I want to work on, that's awesome. The next part we want to talk about is what do we do then? So, how do you actually learn best? If I were to ask you, where would you say is the best place for you to learn something or to contemplate something or to think on something? What would that place look like? Would it be a coffee shop in the middle of a bustling downtown? Would it be on a walk, on a farm? Would it be in your room? Think about the places that you feel safe, you feel comfortable, and that really inspire you. And how can you find one of those places to read through this book and do some of this reflection? Because our environment is going to play a big role. If you say, Jason, I'm super anxious and nervous if I go to the school library, and so I'm going to try to read this in the school library, I want you to see that that's probably not going to be very helpful for you. And so, one of the first things that we learn when we're trying to figure out where we've come from and what we're trying to do is we identify what's worked and what hasn't. And so, I want you just to take a moment and just say, if you could choose, and we'll make it as accessible as it is, if you could choose where you really would want to learn most from this, where would it be? What would it look like? And how can we create that for you today? Because that's what we're wanting to do is create a safe space for you to show up, for you to do some work. And so you might say, Jason, it would be at that coffee shop and I'd have my Bible and a pen and a highlighter and I'd have some water and a cup of coffee and I might talk to my friend in the morning. And I just want you to kind of lay out, like if you were to paint that ideal picture of what it would look like to do some of this work and read the book, where would you be? How would it look? Who might be there? Would people be around? And how would you be feeling? And then what I want you to think about is as I start to do the book, how do I make that happen? Like, really, how do I make that happen? Because one of the first best things we can do to look through this is to start to set ourselves up for success by knowing what we need, knowing what we want, and pursuing that. And so, whatever it is that's coming up right now, I just challenge you, how can you make that happen for yourself? And maybe you say, the best place for me, Jason, would be in a rainforest, hanging from a hammock, but I live in Kansas. Well, it's going to be tricky to do that. But what is a more accessible version of that so that you could actually do now to get started? So take a couple of minutes and just think about if I were to identify a safe space, a comfortable space, one that allowed me to learn, to be present, and to reflect, what would that look like and how do I create that so I can move forward with this?